counter mortar and counter IED. But if we knew that there was an area that was heating up after, you know, doing operations, maybe dismount operations, maybe like the east side or whatnot, then guess what? We can put a unit there, covert, and just put eyes on and eventually establish a raid package or establish a quick sweep package that we want to hit in that objective area. I would say that in this whole 7-month time frame, OP operations allowed us to be extremely successful in this small wars fight. It was an OP that triggered the Battle of Sable on the 17th. It was OPs that were hit on the 14th over, you know, checkpoint 69 in the crack house, if you want to really put it that way. On the 8th, Lima 2 Lima 1 was in an OP or a patrol base, and they were hit, you know. But either way, it was always just these small elements that were out there that managed to draw the enemy to show his hand and allowed us effectively to fight him. Not these big, huge, massive, you know, footprints like a platoon-sized patrol just walking through an area. And so after that, we went back to the COC and started doing more and more planning with this whole OP operation. And that's when Sergeant Sedan came up with, hey, he said, you know, the covert and overt OPs are making us some progress, but maybe we need to shrink down to something a little bit smaller to see if we can get the enemy really show his hand. Because even then, with covert and overt OPs, there's always we still had a high percentage rate of that we were going to get passively compromised, which means that someone knows that we're there, and either nothing happens or then we become actively compromised, which is we start to take shots. And all of our overt OPs were actively compromised every time. So talking to Sergeant Sedan, I said, okay, I'll give you your shot. You and Link will go out there, you know, 500 meters. Establish pretty much it's an LPOP, like a listening post that's only 500 meters out, and it's in line of sight of the camp where we have QRF ready to snatch back up. Not think that was going to work. They went out there late at night, and sure enough, around checkpoint 74, they had line of sight of an IED crew trying to put in an IED. Well,
can you show us where checkpoint 74 is exactly?
Checkpoint 74 is in and around this area here. It's like the Christmas Tree Mosque. And here's our camp here. So you pushed out forward this building here because there's a couple of posts just so they can get line of sight and so that the Iraqi National Guard couldn't see us. So from West End, they pushed out here so they could see right in. And sure enough, with binos and NVGs, they saw some guys. They opened fire at them, scared them away, and then they pushed back in. Because at that point, they were definitely compromised. I would call that an act of compromise, even though they didn't take fire, but they didn't stay put. So after that, the indirect fire stopped 3 times a day. It went back down to 1 time a day, and we eventually got counter-battery radar as well. That would come into play because now we could have OPs out, and if there's anyone in that general area for the criteria of counter-battery radar, there could be someone eyes on to effectively, you know, FO our mortar shooting back in there and us at least trying to open fire on them.
What level of individual discipline and experience would be required to send out a 2-man OP like the one you described with Lincoln Sudan? I mean, these are 2 of your more experienced NCOs.
I would say, you know, it shouldn't. 2-man OPs definitely wouldn't do it. It needs to be fire team. You probably can't. Maybe for an LPOP, yes. And if you do, you need someone senior. You need a squad leader heading this thing up, or one of your senior fire team leaders, and then you basically his fire team. If he's going to take 2 guys, you take your first fire team is your most senior and experienced one, and you chop the other 2 back to another fire team to become like that QRF, that 6-man team to come pull it out. But our answer at that point was, if you're going to do that, it needs to be, you can do 4-man fire teams in the city, but they need to mutually support each other. Meaning that if you take like a building like this and we're going to gain eyes on the street, okay, maybe not put the whole platoon in here, maybe put a fire team in here, maybe put another fire team in that building over there, and then maybe put another one over there, and have good PR communication. That's the best way to do it. You don't want to put just 2 guys here and 2 Marines over there, because that fire team, that's your support right there. You have a 203, you have a SAW 249, and you have 216s, and you may take, you're gonna have your AT4s, and you might take a shotgun with you or whatnot if you need to, breach a door or something. But that core element, that's the smallest number that you want to work. Recon uses 6-man teams, and they stay extremely hidden, extremely well, and they stay there for 5 days. We don't necessarily have that expertise training, but if you put a fire team here and a fire team on another building where they have visual identification with each other and they can talk, then we're good. And you set up a good, solid sleep rotation of 3 men up while 1 man down, and you just rotate it that way, you're good. The only problem is that you can only sustain that for maybe about 2 days. And after that, it's time to fold up and head back in. It's just the Marine, we're not trained to that level yet.
Okay, well, we're going to move on to another subject. Thanks.
Okay.